now. This is why we're kicking off slightly late. But Emma Rowe has very kindly agreed to be our first speaker, so that Suzanne and Raymond will have a little time to grab something to eat and settle in, and they'll be joining us just in a few minutes. I'm Nicola Triscott. I'm the director of the Arts Catalyst, and I brought the two artists together for the Transformism show. Before we start, I just want to thank a few of the people involved in the exhibition, particularly the artists Melanie Jackson and Revital Cohen, who've been a complete joy to work with right through the process. And of course the wonderful John Hansard Gallery, and Stephen Foster and Ross Carter and Adrian and Zohar and all the team here who are completely fantastic to work with. This is the third show that we've done with the John Hansard Gallery, and it's always a really fantastic experience, both on a practical level and on an intellectual and artistic level. A bit of housekeeping. The toilets are, when you come out, if you turn right and right down the corridor, they're down there. Fire, if there is a fire alarm, please just return to the gallery rather than wait around in the car park, and then we'll come and get you if we can reconvene. And then lastly, on the housekeeping Wi-Fi, which
if anyone wants to pick up Wi-Fi, they should be able to do so if you find a network edu room. Some of you may have your own edu room login. If not, you can use ours, which anyone who's like it is JHG visit, all lowercase, JHG visit, and then the password is gallery123, capital G.
So the structure of the symposium in the afternoon is quite straightforward. There will be three speakers. We'll start with Emma Rowe, and then Suzanne Kirchler, and then Raymond Oliver. And after that, if there's time, we'll get together and have a bit of a time for Q&A at the end. But obviously, those of you who are going on the bus will be wanting to leave quite promptly, so I'll try and keep everyone to time. I just saw Melanie come in the room, so I need to say again my thanks to the artists on Transformism, and what a great experience it's been working with you. Just to say a little bit about how the exhibition came about, to give you a context for why we bring this symposium together. I started working with each of the artists quite separately. I met Melanie Jackson just after show Earthplanzer Part 1 at the drawing room. And we were talking about her interest in looking at plant science and the sort of forms that are inspiring where science and technology are taking us. She was very interested in talking to synthetic biologists, and synthetic biology is an emerging area of technology in which engineering principles are being applied to biology in order to design new life forms and new living systems and new processes within biology, which is really interesting. And so Melanie came along to a workshop called Synthesis that we organised with UCL and Stanford University, which was a meeting of artists, scientists, and synthetic biologists, engineers, and so forth. But the work since then has really gone off in some really interesting other directions, and I think it's a very complex piece, and there are a lot of ideas around new materials and plant form, and how we're seduced by new forms and materials, and what's so interesting is how Melanie's linked this to right back in history to fairy tales and the ideas of magical abundance that inspire perhaps where we go with technology and ideas of what technology can produce for us. But it's also about the role of the artist in all this. What is the role of an artist and a sculptor in the age of new materials and new science and technology? And then Revital I was working with, I'm a little cautious about what I say on camera about our big plan. But this is, with Melanie's piece, this is the second stage of a project, and with Revital's, this is the first stage of a project. And so she has gone to Japan, where she's made this rather wonderful film about the Japanese culture of wrong shoe breeding. But while she was in Japan, she met with a scientist, and that was kind of the main reason for her going there, was to research what scientists are doing in the area of crafting animal life. So it's quite interesting to look at the film, which exists as a work in its own right, and think about where the ideas are within our contemporary cultures, both in this country and around the world, that then feed into our ideas of where science and technology might go in the future. I think, have we been joined by other speakers? Yes. You, Susanna, great. We haven't even met. I'm Nicola. Very nice to meet you. Emma's kindly said that she'll go first, so that you get time to catch your flight. I'm glad your train arrived. So yes, so this symposium is just picking out some of the ideas that have come up within our conversations as we've been putting the exhibition together. And what we wanted to focus on was the idea of how we are crafting life and how we are crafting with life, and what that means to artists, and what that means to designers, and what that means to science and technology, and how it changes our relationship with materials and with the living substances and with other species around us. So we're going to have 3 very different presentations, and at the end we'll come together and please feel free to ask any questions that you have. I'm going to start with Emma Rowe, and Emma Rowe is a lecturer in human geography here at the University of Southampton. She specialises in bodily cultural geographies, the geographies of human and non-human relations, embodied material ethics, and practical experience of consumption. And it's been very interesting talking to her in the lead up to the symposium, so I'm going to hand over to